Hi, I'm Tiffany, and this is Towering TBR. So, I have a new favorite book of the year, Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I said in my end of year TBR tag that I thought that this could be a potential favorite of the year, and it was. I'm so glad. Demon Copperhead is a very close retelling of David Copperfield, but even if you haven't read David Copperfield, I think you'll really like this. It focuses on a boy whose given name is Damon Fields. So Demon Copperhead is a nickname, but we follow his story about being born to a teenage addicted mother, and he gets in a lot of foster situations, and yeah, it's instead of Dickens' work, which is set in Victorian England, this is set in close to modern day Appalachia from in the 90s and early 2000s, from when the opioid crisis started. And yeah, he ends up in a lot of fosters, and he ends up living with a family called the Macabre family. And in the original, it's the Macabre family. And she really modernizes them, but keeps true to themselves. So in the original, they're incredibly bad with money. And in the retelling, they take in a foster child, Demon, because they need money. And they're super cringy, but they were cringy in the original. So, I loved it. She did a really good job incorporating all of the characters and a lot of the main plot line. But at the heart of this is a story about overcoming poverty and drug addiction and food and housing insecurity. I think I would recommend this to nearly everybody. You don't have to have read David Copperfield to enjoy it. But I do think having those little Easter eggs, those little connections to the original material, was really nice. However, if you haven't read it, I still think this book could be for you. There is some ableism in it, which I wanted to point out. But I feel like it's really authentic to his character and is not necessarily reflective of the author. So I wanted to read two passages that I thought were particularly moving. The first is a conversation he's having with his foster sister, and he says, "She liked to tease me that if we lived to 100, she would be the one to get there first." Which was true. No credit given for all of those extra miles that take you nowhere. I felt like that really summed up his childhood. He had a really hard start at life, and yeah, it really moved me. And the other I wanted to talk about is, along with the opioid crisis, is the fact that there's a lot of people in pain, and the pain management was not working because Purdue lied about their OxyContin. They said that it lasted longer than other pain medications, that it wasn't addictive, that you could take it as much as you need, but that was not true, and a lot of people got addicted. So I want to also mention a line that was talking about chronic pain. It says, "Pain is water of a drowning kind. You waterboard a while, come up for air, and go back down. You're afraid you'll die, and then you're afraid you won't." That line really spoke to me. I'm not sure if people who don't experience chronic pain understand how incredibly wearing it is to never have a break, to just constantly be worn down. And I really liked that passage because I felt like it really summed up how bad chronic pain can be. She even makes a couple of cheeky references to Charles Dickens, and I loved that. This book is amazing. I can't recommend it enough. And while I haven't found a hidden gem, this is already on the bestseller list, I think it absolutely deserves its place there, and I encourage you to pick this up. It is such a good story, and even if you know David Copperfield like I did, you're not going to necessarily know what's going to happen next because she really does modernize it quite a bit. Lastly, I just want to say that these characters are incredibly authentic and real feeling, and they're sympathetic. I mean, you really, you care for them, and when they make decisions you disagree with, which end up hurting them, it's hard to watch. But I love this book so much. It is definitely a new favorite of the year, and I can't wait to start looking into her backlist to see what else she might have that could be as good as this. So, long story short, I recommend it. Get it. Buy it or get it from the library or whatever. Borrow it from a friend. Just read it. It is so good. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're new here, this is probably a weird video to start with, but I hope you read this and enjoy it. And let's have a chat in the comments. Thanks. Bye.